Previously on Gilt's Garage.
He's working as the clock. He's been stuck 6 o'clock for a while now. Yeah, I talked to Alex about it. Because this thing is, trying to see how they put it together.
It's a customized E-Type, so nothing fits from the factory. Everything's handmade to specifications. Unfortunately, with handmade parts, sometimes they don't fit perfectly and clubs run into a couple of issues.
It's got to go to the show, so we got to fix it. We can't send it broken. If it's an absolute nightmare, we'll reassess it as a team and figure out what's gone on there and how to make it right.
It's going to take like a few months at least, and I don't have that time. We don't have that time. We have Motorama tomorrow.
Hey everybody, looks like we made it.
We managed to get both cars here and everything's set up at Motorama, presented by eBay Motors Canada. This is our 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham project that we brought with us. We're going to tell you a little bit about the car and how much modification actually went into it. From the outside, we kept it mostly stock, other than the candy apple red paint job. It's a real 7-layer candy apple red paint job. We didn't go crazy. They only made 400 of these cars. We get a lot of flack for customizing one that they only made 400 of. The car basically didn't exist from here down. It was very rusty, pretty much toast. We saved as much of the sheet metal as we could and fabricated everything else. So we put a full custom chassis underneath the car from front to rear. It's got modern 4-link suspension and coilovers in the front. It's got a modern V8 engine, makes a bunch of power. But other than that, we wanted to keep a Cadillac Brougham looking like a Cadillac Brougham. We replicated the wheels in billet instead of the original hubcaps that would have been on the car. And after that, we stuck to the interior, changes like that. So the interior on this car, these doors all open factory as they would. The doors are all spring assisted. Because of the chassis, the floor actually sits roughly 3 inches higher than it did from the factory. So we basically made scale replicas of the seats that are slightly smaller, so everything still looks original, even though it's fully customized. The dash is all factory, just with modern gauges installed into the original chrome. All of the power everything, power vent windows, power trunk, all 4 power windows in the back, power steering, power brakes, that all came from the factory. That's all working as it should, as it would have in 1957. Again, in 1957, this was the most expensive car you could buy. It was $13,000 US. It was almost $4,000 more than the best Rolls Royce you could get your hands on. So we wanted to keep with that kind of perfectionism that GM was going for with this car when we built it. As you come around the back, again, we didn't do much as far as changes. We shaved the fuel filler door and that was about it. The rear wraparound bumpers, the way everything fits together, the cutter around the license plate, that's all how Cadillac built it, and we wanted to maintain all of that. Same with the stainless steel. It's the original stainless steel roof. Other than some minor dents and scratches, it was in excellent condition. Same with the stainless steel side skirts. They were in excellent condition. We just reused them and put them on the car and made them fit. This is our project. We're all pretty happy with it. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe.
Hi, I'm Mike Milton. This is my 1969 E-Type. We're just finishing up a restoration on it, and the restoration was for iconicity. We wanted to build a car that was, when you close your eyes and you think of E-Type, this should be what that looks like. So one of the upgrades we wanted, E-Types are famous for not having good mirrors or not having good visibility out the back, especially the 2-seater coupes. They just have this little window. So what we did was we took the mirrors off. They don't work at all. And we put in an electronic rear view mirror, and this is the camera here. So the camera for the electronic rear view mirror looks out through the top of the window here. So it's quite high. And also because it's back a bit, it actually looks right to the side. So you can see everything from cars beside you to all of the lanes behind you. So it's actually much safer than trying to use the actual outside mirrors. So for the most part, this was built to be a car that I'm going to drive. I mean, not a daily driver, but spirited driving was one of the goals for the car. And given that you want to do spirited driving and also do sort of informal Wednesday evening car shows, the kind of things where everybody gets in a park. But when you go to leave, it can be hard to get your way through the crowd. And it's sort of, I feel it's sort of rude to beep your horn at people who are just milling about, and you might frighten them. So we got to do something just for fun, for that kind of car show, to let people know you're coming through. Alex? Why not have your car roar at the crowd? It's just a joke. I think it's cute. I'm showing my age, I think. So the other thing that we did, these cars had a big pod right here, big massive pod, and the signal lights fit on it. So the fog lights, the signal lights, the running lights, and I always thought they were ugly. So when we were redoing the bottom of the hood, we cut them off and welded them up. And instead of that, when we put in the glassed-in headlights, we got projector bulbs that fit way back in like the Series 1. Now on the Series 1, these were hated because they're so far back in you get no light. But with projector bulbs, the light comes straight out. And also it has the daytime running light around it. So when we moved the headlights back in, we put daytime running lights, halo lights, on the headlights, plus the projector bulbs, and these are the turn signals. So they're quite visible, and they're quite visible down here. Way more visible than the original ones. So, a fun modification and something that is practical and works well. People don't do this kind of restoration when their goal is to resell the car. And lots of people think they're going to make money by restoring a car and reselling it. But this is the kind of restoration people do when it doesn't really matter what the car is worth financially. It matters what it's worth from the standpoint of an experience or its personal value. And those were our goals. I wanted a car that echoed my experience 50 years ago when I bought it, and was enhanced both in terms of performance and reliability. Not made a modern car, but made a viable car. And I think a beautiful car.
Covered a lot of things about his car, but he missed one pretty important one. This is his horn button. It's a pretty special horn button, especially as far as horn buttons go. This was the inspiration to the restoration of his vehicle. When we started on his car, Mike brought this to my shop a little while later and said, we need a car that this horn button is worthy of going into. These were handmade. They were a one-off run of horn buttons. They only made 150 of them. They were actually made by the jeweler to the royal family in England, the Frattoni family. They were handmade, that's 24 karat gold. They were cast, and it's literally just the center that goes in the middle of the steering wheel. It's so special, we've decided to keep it in its box that it was shipped to us in and keep it in the trunk just on display instead of actually putting it in the steering wheel. When Mike handed me that, it gave us a pretty good direction as far as how far he wanted to go with the whole car. And as you can see, it's turned out pretty nice, and we think it's pretty worthy. So that's a wrap on Motorama 2026.
Just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came by this weekend. We had a great time meeting you all.
Thank you to everybody. Big thank you to eBay Motors Canada for the partnership and having us here for the whole weekend.
Be sure to tune into our channel and like and subscribe.
Thanks, everybody.
Welcome back to Gil's Garage. In this episode, you're going to see Jess and I wandering around Motorama trying to determine what we think Alex's favorite car at the show is. Meanwhile, Tommy and Alex are going to wander around trying to determine what they think my favorite car at the show is going to be. And they also have a real job, and that is determining the award winners for the eBay Motors Award.